One of the biggest problems and questions that English learners have is about the a sound, as in cat, before the sounds n or m. This lesson is going to completely solve that problem for you. You're going to learn the secret reason why a seems to be different before n or m. It's still a. You'll learn the truth about the pronunciation that other teachers talk about. You'll also learn the truth about all vowel sounds before n or m, because yes, this is related. And I'm going to give you a special hack that will help make pronouncing a little bit easier in all cases. Hi, I'm Josh, your American English guide, and this is English Hacks Pronunciation, where I help you to sound like a native if you want, and to understand natural American speech better. So let's first talk about what other teachers have taught you. The plus combination to replace a before n or m. Now this does exist and there's nothing wrong with it. However, it works in normal speed speech and faster speech, but if you try to slow down and enunciate, saying man, then it's going to sound weird. So that means that it can't be the true proper way to say the sound. In other words, this is a reduced, lazier version. It's something that can happen, but it's not the way to do it. So how do we actually pronounce the a sound before n or m? Well, the truth is a, regardless of where it is. But there are three very important things that can cause interference with the sound and make it seem like it's different. The lazy a. Now I'm probably going to make a full lesson just on this sound at some point in the future, but the lazy a is a lazy a, right? It's not fully enunciated, it's not opened as much. In fact, you can use the same height approximately of the third vowel sound like bed, and still produce a good a sound. For example, if I say bad, okay, that's full. Lazy, bad, ba, Now your ears might be like, that sounds like or I can't tell if that's or a. Trust me, it's an a sound. It's very lazy, it's close to but the exact height doesn't actually matter. It's much more about the shape and where the tenseness for the placement of the vowel is. It's a front vowel, so we want to feel the vowel here in the front. And as long as you have those two ingredients, you actually don't have to open all the way into a, man. And that sounds very similar to the plus a. In fact, I would argue, and this may not be true for everybody, but I would argue that what a lot of teachers perceive and what a lot of researchers perceive as plus a, that variation we talked about at the beginning that is not the correct way to say it, that is actually probably more likely the lazy a plus maybe a little tiny bit of just a little bit as the tongue comes up into n or as the jaw closes up into m. In American English, there's a special thing with the a sound called a raising or a tensing. To put this simply, there's going to be more tenseness in the tongue, and there will also likely be a little bit of raising up and or forward with the back and or the middle of the tongue. And to show you what this tenseness or raising means, well, we normally do a nice good open a sound, a. Now if I add a little bit of a tenseness or raising like going to n or m, a. So you can see that there's a little shift in the tongue. It's very subtle, it's very small. Remember, the sound is still in the front, but there is a little bit of a difference with the back and middle of the tongue. According to Wikipedia, most American and many Canadian English speakers, at the very least, display an a that is raised or tense before the front nasals and n. such as camp, man, ram, pan, etc., which are otherwise lower and laxer, meaning more relaxed. Further, more widespread among speakers of the Western United States, Canada, and the Southern Midwest is a continuous system which also revolves around the a before nasal consonants, but has a less extreme raising of the tongue than the nasal system. Instead of a sharp divide between the high tense version before nasal sounds and the low relaxed version before other consonants, we actually get a range of more tense or more raised to more low or more relaxed, regardless of what follows the a sound. However, for many American English speakers, this range means that if a is before m or n, it's much more likely that there will be this higher raising or this tenseness. So, for example, man will have the raising more likely. It's not required, you don't really have to. And on the other end, if it doesn't have n or m after the a sound, then it's much less likely to have the raising and much more likely to be lower and more relaxed. But you could also still have that raising. But if it's difficult for you to make the a sound before n and m, or just in general, then you can add a little bit of that tenseness or raising to the sound in order to make it a better sound. And that leads me to the special hack. All you can do is, in all cases, all of the time, it doesn't matter if n or m is after. The hack is always add a little bit of this tenseness or raising. This way your a vowel will always sound great, as long as you, of course, produce the sound correctly. The last thing that can cause interference with this sound before n and m actually affects all vowel sounds before n or m, but we don't notice it in the other cases, and I think there's a reason why. So for example, if I say on, own, un, or seen, what's actually happening is there's this thing in the back of your throat at the top called the soft palate, or sometimes velum. And this is the thing that when you close your lips or you close your tongue and you make the sound go through your nose, that flap opens and allows the airflow and the sound to go through the nose. Now what happens is that the vowel before m or n will actually be a little colored or very slightly nasalized before m and n, because as we are preparing to create that m or n sound, the velum loosens, and so it doesn't completely open. The sound is still going through your mouth. Seen, right? Still mostly goes through your mouth, but there's a little bit that escapes through your nose, and this creates a slight, very small nasalization. So if I compare, for example, see, seen, see, seen, you can hear, it's small, but you can hear the difference. There's a little bit escaping through the nose. Now, for all other vowel sounds except for a, we don't notice this nasalization, especially in faster or even normal speed speech. And I think the reason for that is because the a, right, the velum is up here in the back. The a is down here in the front. They are literally on opposite sides of the mouth. And so because it's so extreme and because it's so far in the exact opposite direction, we tend to hear that slight nasality just a little bit more. A is still a. Those three things interfere with the a sound before n and m and can make it seem different. So if you have any questions or comments, of course, let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching another English Hacks lesson, and I'll see you in the next one.